All right, so when you open up the file, this is what you'll see. I like to start with doing the last name first. So you're going to go over to this smart object over here, and you're going to double click on that, and we're going to change out the last name. So I'm going to double click on text. Evans is the last name of this poster that I'm doing. This font is called Techo. It is a free font. So if you want this exact font, you can just search for it and download it. If not, use whatever font you would like. Under the name, there are these effects that are currently on there to kind of give it this look. So let's double click on gradient overlay. And then you're going to double click on the gradient here. And it brings up this. So this is a lighter color. I normally start off that with the team color there. And then I do the same, but just a little bit darker to kind of get a little gradient. That's the look I do probably most often, but if you want it solid, do that. Do however you want. The strokes here, so if you want to change the color of that or the size, you can do that. So let's put that back to there. And then if you want to adjust the shadow, that's on there too. You're welcome to change that or do whatever you want. So let's go there. Let's hit Command S or File Save to save that. And this is a smart object, so this is kind of important to edit in here, because when we go back here, not only does it update this, these parts right here at the top and the bottom where it kind of just has this faded out of their last name, it's automatically going to update those. So that's why we're going to do it in the smart object. Next up, I'm going to put in the main image. So I have this placeholder right here. I'm going to grab the file. I'm going to put as the main image. I'm just going to drag it in. I'm going to scale it up to how I want it. It's pretty good right there. And then I did leave on this camera raw filter. And so if you want to drag it, or if you want to copy it by holding Option and drag it onto your smart object, it'll kind of just put a little adjustment on it. If you are doing lots of posters and you have a certain look, just save your camera raw filter on your template or the previous one. You just can drag it on. It'll save you a few steps. All right, so let's move on. As we go down, this is just a grain layer to add some grain. Turn it off if you want. This is your last name. Light leak. So there's a little bit of a light leak up in the corner. It's very subtle. If you want to turn it off, do that. If you want to change the color of it, unlock this and drop this down. You'll double click on the hue saturation here and you can change it from there. So I'll just show you, double click, and then you're going to go to colorize, and then you can kind of just change the color and you kind of see it slightly adjusting. I'm just going to leave it how it is for this because it's kind of a gold color. It's fine with me. I'll lock that back. Shadows, that's under his feet. We'll come back and do that in a second. The paper wrinkle, this is just kind of part of the texture. Same with the dot texture. And now we're getting down into this shape here. And then underneath it's going to be our background image. So I'm going to bring in the other photo of the player. I'm just going to drop it in there. Scale it up to where it fits best. Looks pretty good right there. So accept that. Same thing, I have some adjustment layers that I've used in the past on ones that typically work with how I shoot my photos. So I'll drag that on there. Again, once you get yours how you want, feel free to just leave them on yours, or whenever you're going from a lot of on one team or one shoot, just copy those over. So I'm gonna delete out that back image. Now we have basically the part that's behind the cutout player, and this is labeled logo background. And let's double click on that smart object and it'll open this up. Right now it's just this black graphite kind of texture. This is where I'm going to bring in the logo. This is where I normally put the logo behind. So I'm just going to drag that in. I have this in a library, but if you have it, however you have in your file. I'm going to scale that up, and now you're kind of going to be doing I'm not sure what this is going to look like. So I put this overlay reference here. So move that on top of it, and I just kind of do that to give me a reference of where it's going to be on the final cutout. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to turn that back off. Make sure you turn that back off, because if you don't and you save it, obviously that's going to be on there. So let's save this, Command S, or go up to File and Save, and it'll update this smart object. And I'll show you why that is important here in a second. Let's close out of that. And so now that's going to update all back there. You can kind of see the black there, and I'll turn off you kind of see how it's filled in there. So how it's giving this like textured look where certain colors are coming through is on this smart object. If you see the two squares intersecting, if you double click on it, we are in a blending options down here. So if your colors are blending through more or less than you want to, this is where you're going to want to adjust. So if you kind of see how when you move these, how it'll adjust your image over on the main part. See how it adjusts. So the main other thing to remember is if you click and drag this, it's going to move the whole thing. But if you hit Option and click, it separates it. And that's going to give you some more fine-tuned look than very drastic looks. So if you are moving that and you're not knowing why it's being more gradual, click Option and then click on it to separate it. So I'm going to cancel out that because that's good with how it is. So there's also a smart object up here. It says Logo Copy. And so if you click that on, it kind of puts this logo over the whole thing. And sometimes with the logo, I like it to run onto the paper, and that's why I have that. But if you have a background like all black, it will darken your whole image. So you would want to go, I typically do that whenever I don't put a background on there, so I leave it blank. And I'll show you what that looks like. You just hit Command S to save that. We'll give it a quick look as it updates and see how the logo's going on there, but it's not quite as dark. So let's go back in and change this back out, because I think I'm going to go with the black. And you can put whatever texture, or if you want to use an image that's not even a cutout there, you can leave that, maybe like the stadium or something like that. All right, so I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to leave it just as it is. I'm going to turn this layer back on. And there you have that. And then finally, there's just another paper layer down here. I did put in a couple other different shapes down here that if you want to try them out, even if you want to do something like a home plate or whatever and adjust them in there, I put that more as a reminder that you can customize this shape to whatever you want. So basically you can get your polygonal lasso tool here, and if you wanted to just free form draw what you want in here, go ahead and do that. Just remember that you'll clear this out, and then you'll just paint all the areas you want to see through will be black, and all the other parts will be white, and that'll be about your reference. And if you have how you use layer mask, if you have any knowledge of that, this is pretty much applies to all that. So I'm going to deselect that, and then the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the shadows. I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to delete that out, and I'm going to just add a couple shadows underneath his feet to finish off the image. And there you have it for this template. If you have any questions, let me know.